Did you know that 99% of all Agile transformations are doomed to fail? Nowadays, many companies claim to be Agile, but can we trust those statements? Consider this. How many top managers would publicly admit that investing multi-million budgets in such initiatives was a huge mistake? To uncover the harsh reality, it's best to speak with Agile coaches and Scrum Masters in these organizations. Based on my personal observations and data from my network, only a very small number of organizations actually achieve the desired outcomes from their Agile transformations. In this video, we will delve into the reasons why Agile transformations fail, what actions can be taken to prevent this, and where you can find further information. Important to note that we will consider a real-life example, which certainly has its specifics. However, the conceptual problem is the same as in most other cases, regardless of the company. By the way, if you are interested in similar topics, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Now let's look into this. Apart from poorly organized implementations, most Agile transformations are doomed by their design. Let me explain. At my consulting practice, I often use Orca Canvas, which is part of the system of knowledge, tools and techniques called Orca Facilitation. By the way, by visiting the website www.orcafacilitation.com, you can find a link to the mirror board containing the case I am explaining in this video, as well as learning materials and high-quality templates of Orca Canvas. So this is the story of a group of senior management at a mid-sized bank whose business success was heavily reliant on its digital banking product, which was continuously developed to compete effectively for customers amidst intense market competition. The original concern was about Scrum implemented at the team's level, as not bringing them the expected boost in productivity. However, instead of jumping into broad discussions, the group decided to follow the guidelines of Orca Canvas, and it led them to first identify what is the actual concern in terms of business outcomes. They formulated it as a weak progress towards strategic business goals. More precisely, their concerns were about the continuously worsening cost-benefit ratio and the increasing number of clients moving to their competitors. As one of the causes of the latter, they identified that each feature of their digital banking product took at least 3 months to get delivered. That was way too long compared to competitors. On the other hand, they were dissatisfied with the value of delivered features compared to the development cost. They also easily identified that even those features finally delivered still added relatively low value to the product. Looking at the causes, the group noted that it was either impossible or extremely expensive to change delivery plans for the ongoing quarter or even for the quarter starting in a few weeks. Trying to find other causes for the low customer value of delivered features, they stumbled across the fact that developers focused purely on completing their own individual tasks, leaving the generated customer value unattained. As another consequence, developers were unwilling to help each other. Remembering the learning from the recent course Designing Agile Organizations, group members spotted that this factor led to the creation of multiple reciprocal interdependencies between team members. By the way, you can find more about the certified course Designing Agile Organizations on my website www.denisani.com or by using the link in the video description. So, what happened next in this senior management workshop? Another identified factor was that team members were unwilling to apply and develop their secondary skills. This resulted in enormous coordination overhead that in turn contributed to a couple of the main management concerns. When the group tried to identify other causes, they stumbled upon the fact that almost every feature required deliverables prioritized in multiple backlogs, and that all features were handed over multiple times through a long chain of teams, often even making loops by returning to teams for rework or bug fixing. Managers spotted a driver of this in numerous process interdependencies, this time between teams, including the most impactful type, reciprocal interdependencies. Combined with the multiple reciprocal interdependencies between team members, this led to extremely low flow efficiency. The waiting time accounted for over 98% of the cycle time. Again, remembering this from the course Designing Agile Organizations, the group identified this as another significant contributor to the concerning situation. While analyzing other causes of the concerning work outcomes and outputs, managers noticed that it was always the case that out of all teams, some worked on much lower priority items, while higher priority items were just waiting. That happened because they could not work on the components necessary for the higher priority work, while other teams who could do that were already fully occupied. Furthermore, the group agreed that there was obvious contract game between teams represented by their product owners and product managers. On one hand, that reinforced the coordination overhead. On the other hand, it made changing the quarterly delivery agreements between product owners and product managers either impossible or extremely expensive. After serious debates, managers agreed that developers massively added technical debt while delivering product changes, and that increased the cost of development simultaneously with reducing its speed for subsequent changes. Following the guidelines of Orca Canvas, when they felt comfortable with moving to the next section, managers started looking at the elements of their organizational design. Here, they easily spotted that each team had to have their own separate product owner. They agreed that it was a direct result of their previous assumption that the Scrum framework prescribes this to scaling up Scrum teams. By that moment, from the DAO course, they had already gained the understanding that it was their false assumption. Next round of brainstorming led this group to recognizing that the responsibilities were distributed in a way that each team had their own separate subset of architectural components in their exclusive ownership, meaning that only one team could change them. Since customer features actually require development across multiple components, this composition of teams caused reciprocal interdependencies between them. On the other hand, this created the situation that at every moment of time some teams were doing low priority work. As this group of managers already discussed that thoroughly in the DAO course, one of the main drivers of this factor was in having so-called front-back model implemented at the top management level of this company. It meant that product management department was accountable for product outcomes, while product owners belonged to technology department responsible for component delivery only. Respectively, teams within this department were optimized exactly to maximize performance according to this responsibility. As another consequence of the front-back model, product owners were forced to seek agreement with product managers on the scope to be delivered each quarter. That in turn created the contract game between them. This was additionally reinforced by the performance evaluation HR process, according to which product owners' performance and respectively their salaries and careers depended on fulfilling the quarterly delivery commitments by their teams. Once the topic of rewards was touched, managers added to the diagram the fact that salaries and careers of team members depended on their individual achievements. This reinforced the focus of people on their individual tasks that could often be achieved while generating much less customer value. When managers had no more ideas about the organizational elements contributing to the already identified factors, they noticed, using the color-based indication, that they did not consider the organizational design from the perspective of what kind of people's skill and mindsets are developed within the company. By looking from this perspective, the group identified that careers of team members depended on their professional development in a single narrow specialization, such as analysis, front-end development, back-end development, quality assurance, etc. This created the earlier noted pattern of team members being reluctant of applying or developing their secondary skills. When the question was raised about what drove the decisions regarding such organizational solutions, the group of management discovered another assumption that they had before learning of its faultiness during the Dow course. It was always considered a common sense that you should maximize performance of separate parts of a system to maximize the overall system performance. Yet, by the moment of this workshop, they already knew that that was wrong. Finally, following the Orca Canvas guidelines, the group identified the system feedback. Top management was dissatisfied by business results. As a result, using the same false assumption, they increased pressure on the management of technology department to accelerate delivery. And those reacted by trying even harder to incentivize team members to increase the speed of completing individual tasks. In turn, this gave the additional stimulus for people to focus on their own individual tasks as the most important, and drove them to uncontrollably increase technical debt. Now let's look at the summary of the findings of this management group using the STAR model proposed by Jay Galbraith. Based on this example, we will see the most common cause of failing Agile frameworks, as well as what you can do to address this problem. The strategic business goals of the company depended on the satisfaction of their many thousands of customers and cost-benefit ratio. Speaking of structures and processes at team level, the company prescribed using Scrum. On the other hand, their teams were organized around components, and their role of a product owner was inconsistent with its meaning in Scrum, as it did not have the real authority for product decisions. At the top level of departments, they implemented front-back model and the counter-game on the high level of processes. People in teams were forced to abandon their secondary skills, and their rewards incentivized individualism. Strategic goals are the driver for the organizational design, and the management group discovered that almost all organizational solutions were inconsistent with their strategy. In such circumstances, would be probably unwise to consider whether Scrum itself can be consistent with their strategy. Now, this is the main point of this video. If you just substitute all the specific organizational solutions in this model with the ones adopted by your organization, you will most likely find that some of them, if not all, work against the intent of achieving agility as necessary for the strategic business goals. To proceed with the organizational redesign, the group decided to switch to the goal-centric model, which, among other aspects, adds the critical and so far missing element in the center of this model: optimization goals. Managers identified that their strategy required their organization to develop a capability of quickly and at a relatively low cost switch all the necessary resources to work on the highest value. They also identified another essential capability of delivering customer value at a high speed. For them, exactly these capabilities became the most important to achieve by all elements of organizational design. You also can learn about these in the certified course Designing Agile Organizations. By the way, to model the possible consequences of the organizational changes, This management group also used tools and techniques of orca facilitation. In many cases of agile transformations, organizations focus on optimizing only a small portion of their organizational design, leaving untouched aspects like line management, reporting lines, high-level organizational structures and processes, and various HR processes. Consequently, the design of these elements conflicts with the implemented Agile framework, ultimately undermining the overall performance of the organization. To address this issue, the first step is to set system optimization goals, driving the creation of the organizational capabilities necessary to overcome the major challenges hindering strategic business goals. Then, all elements of organizational design should be viewed holistically as a single system and redesigned consistently with these system optimization goals. Therefore, management should collaborate with experts in the desired organizational capabilities to create the new organizational design and implement it. If you are interested in learning more about how to do this practically, consider enrolling in one of our certified courses on designing agile organizations. To deepen your understanding and get equipped with advanced methods of system thinking, as well as tools and techniques tailored for system thinking in the specific context of organizational systems, I invite you to visit orcafacilitation.com, where you can find learning materials as well as certified full course Orca Facilitation. By the way, we are currently offering an exceptional course bundle, DAO Plus, combining both of these unique courses into one package. For more information, visit my website www.denisani.com, and don't forget to like this video if you find it helpful.